The first few months of dealing with Justin's death it's just unbearable. You begin to realize that you are truly going through the worst thing a human being can go through.
My way of dealing with it was always pretending that I was okay. So what I would have to do is I would go somewhere where I was by myself, mostly the cemetery, and then just let my emotions out there.
The first few weeks after Riley died was, I would call the daze phase. It's the same as it was with the initial diagnosis. You're exhausted, you have no sleep, you're on adrenaline, you're in the robot mode. It's like I'm functioning, we had so many people left over in family, and I knew it was gonna be hard once everybody was gone and you're all alone in the house. And I didn't have Riley anymore. So it was hard.
We cried our eyes out. We just let the emotions pour, and I think that was very healthy for us. We knew it was coming, but you can't ever anticipate the end and what it's going to do.
Getting used to living without your child is something that no one is prepared for. We don't know how to do it.
After Taylor died was horrible. She was my only child. We were so close. She's my whole life. She was my world. She was my family.
Just the stress of trying to figure out how you're going to continue moving forward. How am I going to get past this?
When he was 13, we threw a big party for him with all his friends because that was 5 years officially off of chemo when the medical world considers you clinically cured. So we thought cancer was behind us and life was good and normal.
In the middle of Justin's 8th grade year, all 4 kids got the flu. And the baby got better, his fever went away, Joelle got better, Jessica got better, but Justin's lingered. His fever didn't go away and his lymph nodes started to swell, and we had his blood drawn and it was discovered that his leukemia was back.
Jair was born fine, healthy, beautiful. And then 1 week before his year birthday, he had a seizure. They came up with the possibility of him having Alexander's disease, which is white matter disease. It's a degenerative, progressive. As time progressed, the disease progressed and basically got to the point where he lost the ability to do everything.
And Robin hung up and he pulled me into the van after that and said, Riley has leukemia. They gave him a 50% chance right away, right when we went to the ICU.
They figured it was lymphoma, but they wasn't sure which one, and eventually concluded that it was, I guess through trial and error, I think they concluded that it was non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
On April 3rd, 2011, I told her it's okay. I had a long talk with her. I said, it's okay, you don't need to suffer anymore. You can go see the light now, because it's okay. So we were in the room, we were talking, and about 5 minutes after our conversation, she took her last breath, and then she died.
His physician came and told us that Justin was developing a problem called adult respiratory distress syndrome, and fluid was filling his lungs, and that we really needed to prepare ourselves, that Justin was likely going to be intubated and he wasn't sure he was going to survive it. That day, he did pass, and we started the process of adjusting to life without him.
When we got closer, that the disease had progressed quite a bit, I could feel in him where he was holding on. So I did at that point start talking to him. and letting him know that it was okay for him to go. Almost felt like he was holding on for me. And so I needed to let him know that it was okay. In a way, it was a relief because he had been through a lot. And I knew the time had come for him to rest, but it was very difficult. There's an emptiness that a part of you is gone.
But we realized that medicine had done its job. It was time that we needed to withdraw the chemo, withdraw the treatments, and just make him comfortable. So we had to come to grips with that.
The pain was very simple in the fact that you just missed him. You know, you want to make it real philosophical or whatever, but it just was, I miss him, and I'm not going to ever see him again. And the pain of that was tremendous.
I know a lot of families don't make it past this point. But if there's some true love and commitment in there, then it'll show itself, because this is the time for it to show itself.
You're so focused on saving your child that you coexist in the same realm of, this is what we do. We get up in the morning, who's taking Justin to City of Hope? Who's going to be there for the other kids? You know, who's picking up, who's dropping off? Who's gonna, you know, change his dressing today, all that stuff. And so your focus is all about what needs to be done and taking care of the child. And then after he passed, all of that was gone. There's nothing to do. All the activity and purposefulness, all of that just disappears in a day, in a minute. All of a sudden you're just, who are we now? And now how do we deal with our grief? How do we deal with talking about how bad this feels?
I went to intensive therapy and they taught me, and I was able to talk about it. I was able to cry. I was able to hate. I was able to be mad. I was able to be angry. I was able to go through all the emotions and all the feelings that you need to go through when you're grieving.
Dave and I grieved very differently. Dave was much more private about his grief.
At the time, I didn't know how people would cope with the death of a child, and I realized with time that everybody did differently. My wife and I read some different books that helped us understand that. I thought everybody just did the same way and it was painful and hurt. But I realized through reading books and through talking with friends and experiencing my own family and how we all dealt with it, that everybody dealt with it differently. And the nice thing is we seemed to be open for that, open to the fact that we all had our own ways of doing it. For my wife, it was attending a lot of grief groups and talking to a lot of people about it. For me, it was kind of burying myself in my work, keeping myself busy, to not have to sit around and think about it a lot.
I first started out with a group that was designed for all parent loss, so it wasn't necessarily young children passing or that kind of thing. It was just any parent who'd lost a child. And so I found myself in a group with parents of all ages, and the parents who had, what was the most remarkable discovery for me in that group was that the people who had lost a child who was 40 years old, the pain that the parents felt in their 60s, 70s, and 80s even was the same as the pain I felt.
The communication with my wife was I think, was good. We talked about how we were feeling, and we were open about how each, one of us grieved. We let each other do kind of our own thing, and I think that helped. We didn't try to get each other to grieve the way we thought that a person should grieve. We've always been very open about letting each other do what we need to do, and understood that that was important.
I know for myself, even though your loved ones want to be there for you and help you, and you just kind of need a moment of peace to kind of take everything in, to do what you need to do personally, as far as whether it's cry, whether it's sleep, whatever your body is asking you. I think you need to listen.
I found that after Riley passed, everybody was trying to take care of me so much that I was getting exhausted from this date, that date, this date. You know, will you come, trying to protect me. But I'm like, okay. So I would say to parents, when that's going on, to just say, I need a Riley day, is what I would say. I need a day to hibernate, and I wanted to be alone and watch the video, or, you know, cry if I wanted to. Sometimes I felt like I had no time to cry. The way I coped was my faith, praying, and I just felt like the Lord gave me strength. I was very motivated by the fact that I have 4 beautiful boys with me still who need their mom, who hadn't had their mom for 6 years, not 100% of me.
When I started getting into therapy, a lot of that helped me know me and understand me and myself. So once I start focusing on me and the relationship and the death and our marriage, and then the marriage started to work. It's like we can literally say we kind of like, in a way, renewed our vows, because our marriage is like so much better. It's so much better now. I'm happy, and I'm happy to have my husband, that he's here with me, that he's sharing this with me, and I didn't have to do it alone, and that it's a good feeling to work on yourself and get to this point that everything's going to work out, everything's going to be okay.
I think my most difficult part was, I don't have a purpose now. You know, what do I do? So now it's focusing on starting to live a life. Finding something to do, to fill the void, to fill the emptiness. That's what I'm working on.
I've sat with bereaved people and how hungry we all are for shared experiences, for shared stories, to glean whatever we can from each other. It's like we're this underground community that the healthy world doesn't really want to deal with too much because it's too scary.
It happened, and now we have to live through it for the rest of our lives. You're still gonna have your heart's gonna ache, but you just have to take one day, one moment at a time.
Know what you need, try to find out what you need, and then be honest with others. This is the time to not be over polite. If you need a day alone, take it.
There's not any wrong or right feelings, because we all deal with them differently. And it's important to express them.
It's definitely going to be that light at the end of the tunnel. It's very, very dark at first, but the light will shine. And I would definitely recommend therapists to people, even if someone goes for like a couple of months, but just to have someone to talk to, have someone to get angry with, have someone to just discuss how you're feeling, how it hurts you, why me.
Sharing what I knew was all part of the healing that I needed to go through. And when you get to that point in your loss that you can say, I had this experience that I think might help you in your loss. I'd like to talk with you about it. I'm open to hearing about your loss. That's when, I hate to use the word beauty, but that's when you do start to see the purpose in your life and in your loss, and that's where you become free from your grief. I do have a sense of liberation in being able to use words to say, this is how my grief was, this is how my life experience was, and now this is how it is.